Okay, it looks like we have everyone out of the waiting room. I just want to welcome you to our parent information session. I'm George Alexis, the superintendent, and Dr. Jones is here with us this evening to go over the iReady diagnostic, the first diagnostic, um, and tell you a little bit about ways you can support your child at home and the ways you can understand the reports and some of the other features that iReady makes available to families. We're doing these parent information webinars this year. It's something new. We had one at the beginning before school started on the new school lunch program and on the changes to transportation with Mrs. Bomer, and Lori Jones did one also on supporting your child in a new school year. Both of those presentations slash webinars are on our website. This one is being recorded and will be on the website tonight, so that you can always go back and review it. And you can also spread the word in case one of your friends reaches out to you and asks about the session. So again, thank you very much for being here, and I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Jones.
Okay, thank you. Good evening, parents, and thank you for attending. This session will be a session to help you understand the iReady Diagnostic 1, which Gillette students finished, and that information will be posted in the parent portal by tomorrow after school hours. I'm going to also send out a letter. So if there are any Gillette families on here now, this will make a lot more sense after tomorrow afternoon with your child's report. So we began this initiative last year, and this year, based on learning some more information on how we can better use iReady and how we can better train our staff, we have a lot of professional development that has been lined up this year. We spent the last 2 days in iReady training with the staff. So I'm very happy to discuss with you this evening on what the Diagnostic 1 looks like, what is its purpose, and then how you can help support your child at home. Okay, so what is the diagnostic assessment? This is a score that identifies students' strengths and weaknesses. It helps inform instruction, and it's a student's personalized learning path, which I will talk about later on in this presentation. That's called MyPath. And the diagnostics is what forms the MyPath. So the first question that your child will see when he or she logs in to the first diagnostic is based on his or her chronological grade level. And as your child proceeds through the test, items become either more or less challenging depending on how each question is answered. The test is really designed to find exactly the level in which your child is performing, both by domain, which could be phonics, phonological awareness, comprehension, geometry, numbers and operations, and what subskill level. So for instance, short A sound for phonics. And it really guides the teachers into personalizing instruction for the students. So the time and duration of iReady, we administer the diagnostics 3 times a year. For grades 1 through 8, it is the first 2 weeks of school. For kindergarten, it's the first 4 to 6 weeks of school. It's an untimed test. It takes approximately 50 minutes in grades K and 1 and 90 minutes in grades 2 through 8. So iReady recommends that we split up the test into at least 2 sections per subject, because iReady has provided research that it shows students are likely to do their best if they're not doing everything at once. And this is exactly how we set it up here in Long Hill. Okay, what does iReady Diagnostic for Reading assess? It assesses the following areas known as different domains. So phonological awareness, which is really the sound and structure of words. Phonics, which is the relationship between written language, the sound of language, letters, groups of letters, and syllables. High frequency words, as a lot of you know from our programs, those are the trick words, the heart words, or our sight words. Vocabulary, and then comprehension, which is divided into two parts, literature and informational text. So students in kindergarten only, the tests for diagnostic are read out loud. Grades 1 and 8, they have to read on their own. And any student who speaks the language of Spanish will have access to these assessments in the language of Spanish. Oops. For math, we assess the following domains: numbers and operations, which is a mathematical statement that combines numbers and operations; measurement and data; algebra and algebraic thinking; and then geometry. So what happens after the students take the first diagnostic? And this actually happens for each of the 3 diagnostics. iReady will support your child, whether he or she is below, on grade level, or above grade level. He or she will be assigned to online instruction known as My Path. And My Path is something separate than what teachers assign to students. So when your child logs into iReady, he or she will automatically go to where it says lessons. And it's already up on the screen. And this is the My Path. So the My Path is designed to start instruction exactly where the students, how they left off and how they scored in the diagnostics for both reading and math. And the teachers also have the capability of assigning lessons based on where they feel the students may need to be challenged, or where they feel the students may need additional assistance. And when your child logs in, you'll see another box on the left-hand side that says Teacher Assigned. We are requiring our district for grades 2 through 8 to have students take 40 minutes of the reading and 40 minutes of the math sections per week. Grades K and 1, until the first the first trimester is over, we are having them complete 40 minutes total. So 20 minutes in reading and then 20 minutes in math. And then after the first trimester, we're going to reevaluate prior to the diagnostic too. Your child will also have access to the teacher-led instruction. And as I said, this is where teachers can look at how your child scored on the diagnostics, what areas they did well, what areas they need work on. It takes you to the actual questions that the students were asked. So the teacher can assign lessons based on the exact skill that your child needs assistance with, or again, as I said, needs to be challenged. So iReady, if you're, let's say, in 3rd grade, you have the capability of scoring up to 4th or 5th grade, the lessons are designed to meet that level. Okay, and the same as if you're in 3rd grade and you're scoring at a 2nd grade or a 1st grade, it's designed for that. Now, the first diagnostic, as I said in the beginning, children are tested on information that has not been taught to them yet. So if you have a 7th grade student, the first diagnostic is all of the 7th grade skills for the year. And then iReady gets a reading of what your child knows and what he or she needs to work on. And then it's the diagnostics and the My Path are, they change. As often as your children are on iReady completing their My Path, it changes. It's very fluid. So one day your child might have a more difficult and challenging lesson based on how he or she performed the day before, and it might be the opposite. But it's very fluid and it's very differentiated based on the targeted instruction that your child needs. iReady also has a built-in progress monitoring capability that will help keep your child's teacher up to date on his or her progress throughout the program. There are reports that we have been training the teachers on that show the teachers how to pull up a usage report for the students to see how many minutes students are spending at school, how many minutes students are spending at home, and if they're focusing on one question too long, or if they're focusing on one lesson at a time. So it's a lot of great information that teachers have access to this year that we're really utilizing specifically in our small group instruction. Okay, the results overview. The scores indicate your proficiency levels. So let's say your child scores a score of a 439. You will see in the parent portal, and this is the next bullet, a very detailed report on skills and areas in need for improvement. So when you log in under the documents and you can pull up the parent report, it's at least 2 pages long, and it breaks down the levels that your child scored in. Whether it's mid-level or if it's green, then there are really 5 levels in iReady to somewhat mirror the New Jersey Student Learning Assessments. The first 2 green levels are on and above grade level. The yellow color is approaching the grade level. So they're almost there. They're understanding at least 50% of the content that they need to master. And then the 2 red levels are 1 or 2 years below grade level at that point. And based on the 5 levels, iReady provides a summary of each area in order to assign their My Path for each student. So when you log into the portal, and I did try to pull up a sample, but in order for me to do that, I had to black out students' names, and I just didn't want to single out any student in the district just for purposes of this evening. But if anybody has any questions on how to read the report once you're in the system, please feel free to email me and I can walk you through it either over the phone, or I can set up an individual Google Meet and guide you through it that way. Also, on the family report, it provides a link for you to click and go to the iReady Family Central page. And there's a lot of information and resources and articles that really help you understand iReady. It explains how students are not expected to perform at or above grade level right in the beginning, because as I said, it tests the students on that year that they haven't even learned any of the content yet. So if anybody has not been onto the iReady Central, especially the family portion, I would strongly suggest to go on there. There's a lot of great information on there. Okay. What we are doing as a district, training teachers in, and also utilizing this through iReady, is the iReady Diagnostic Growth Monitoring. So the growth monitoring portion is designed to assess the students' progress, their growth in reading and math. And what we have in the district are these 4 points. It's an assessment schedule. So as I said, it's 3 times a year. It's in the beginning of the year. We have it set up in the middle of the year, at the end of January, beginning of February. And throughout these months, it's not just we take the diagnostic and then we wait to see how the students perform with the next one. There are plenty of assessments that teachers use that are not part of iReady, but that are part of our curricular programs that are geared toward the state standards. We also have other assignments through iReady that we can assign to students to help them grow. And that can be changed on a daily basis. So teachers can assign different lessons based on a certain area, and then after another week, change it up. And that's where the teacher assigned lessons play a big part in this assessment schedule. So the beginning, the middle, and the end of the school year typically is supposed to measure the growth and the proficiency of the standards and the domains for the students at their grade level. The individual path is the My Path, and that's based on the results that students receive personalized learning paths that are tailored to their specific needs. And that's what I said before about the My Path and how it can change. It can change on a daily basis based on how the students are doing. So I say the more practice that a child has on iReady, the more growth that you will see and the more progress that we will see in every student. Growth indicators are the assessments, the diagnostics will measure various skills. As I said on the slide prior, what each domain assesses, provide us insights into the areas of strength and the areas that need improvement. And then we are spending a lot of time this year on data reports. So teachers receive detailed reports on a weekly basis that show growth trends, skill mastery, and recommendations for instruction. So growth trends are, if let's say a first grade teacher, because I'm thinking of a grade level meeting that we just had, a first grade teacher pulls up her class and how the students performed overall as a class, and then clicks on each domain and each area that's assessed. You can actually see a grid of growth trends, how the students performed from the diagnostic, how they're performing using their MyPath. Are they mastering any skills? Is there a skill or skills that the whole class is doing poorly on? Well, then that's where the teacher modifies and differentiates her instruction. You have to reteach a lesson, or you have to teach it a different way because the students weren't able to grasp that concept. So it's a really great measure if students are understanding and mastering the skills that we are expecting them to learn and master throughout each grade level. And then recommendations for instruction, which is based on what I said, differentiating their instruction, either to reteach a skill that students may have missed, or to provide challenging assignments for students who have mastered that skill and need additional activities and difficult assignments to really challenge them and help them reach their potential. I see chats at the bottom. I'm going to answer everything at the end. So if you do have any questions, you can please put them into the chat and I will answer them at the end of this. Okay, how you can support your child during this phase of the growth monitoring. Encouraging a positive mindset. What we find is our teachers are excited about iReady. There's a lot of buy-in with the program this year that have come along with the training and showing the teachers all of the data that they have, and now what do we do with it, and how can we implement changes and patterns into our classroom and different routines for the students in these subjects. So we also ask that you encourage a positive mindset at home. When children come home and say they were on iReady, even with my own sons, one of them is on it now, sometimes it's, I'll get an eye roll, or sometimes it's, oh, we're doing iReady again. Change that mindset. Explain to your child that this is just going to help them become a better reader, a better writer, better at math skills, and really add and enhance what they're able to learn and then what they're able to show for their learning down the road. So help your child approach the diagnostic with a positive attitude and emphasize they can't fail. So in order to pass a lesson in iReady, and this isn't just a Long Hill number, this is an iReady number, they have to, and it may not sound high, a student has to receive a 67% or above. Now, to me, right, 67, I think back in the day, well, that's a D. How is that really passing? But the way that the tests are set up, this is considered mastering that subject to then move on to that, not subject, that lesson, to then move on to the next category. So explaining to your child, this is just going to help you learn. This is something additional. How you have in the classroom, you go to centers, you have your flexible seating, you go to math stations. This is just another way for you to learn. And that it's not a test that you can fail, which is great. The kids can try as best as they can, and then they just move on. Another point is reviewing the previous results. So what I have done with my own sons and what the teachers have done with their students in their small groups is discussing their past diagnostic scores. And I think it's a great idea to do at home. Well, the first diagnostic, you received this. Let's see if you grew, or let's see if you went down, and let's talk about why and what we can do at home to help you increase your scores and increase what you need to learn. This can help the students see how they've improved, and what type of areas that they need to further focus on. Practicing skills. This is just like anything. The more you practice riding a bike, the better you'll become. So the more that a student at home and at school practices these skills in their individual learning path, which is titled My Path, provides them the opportunity to practice skills your child may need to work on. And the more that they do this, the stronger that they will become in these domains. Checking progress together. So every week, and because my two sons are in middle school, I sometimes don't receive any information from the schools about iReady. So I'll go on and I'll check their progress. And I go in through their Clever and I look at their scores and I see how are they doing. And I celebrate what they do well. And then we talk about goals for the next assessment. Either you did wonderful with this or you need a lot of work on this. So what do we need to do at home in order to help you progress? So it's great because then it shows buy-in from you as the parent, and it shows accountability for the student, regardless of their age, that mom and dad or another adult at home is going to be asking and checking and helping. Communicating with the teachers. So staying connected with the teachers to understand how you can better support your child at home based on the results of the diagnostic and based on what you see your child working on in the My Path. And then the last is what I said at the very first parent session in August, and it's extremely important, and that's creating that study routine at home. So when a student has a test coming up, you help your child, you quiz your child at home. You help your child, maybe make flashcards for vocab tests, maybe help them go on to Blookits on Google Classroom or different Quizlets to help them prepare. This is the same thing. iReady, you can do the same thing with your child, encouraging them to practice sessions, reinforcing the skills by quizzing them and creating that good routine at home so that iReady just becomes a part of their after school activities. It's part of their homework. It may not be written down in a planner, it may not be posted in Genesis, but when you establish that routine at home with your children, it becomes their routine. So by engaging with the growth monitoring process, providing the support at home, I really feel you can help your child thrive with their journey through iReady, with their journey through our curricular programs, and their journey through their educational path. Oops. Okay. And then lastly, just supporting, and a lot of this may sound similar, supporting your child at home with iReady in general, creating that study space. And it's very similar to creating that routine, that workspace at home. Make it a quiet area. I know sometimes at home, there's no quiet. It's preparing for dinner, doing homework, running to sports, running to after school activities, but trying to really designate that quiet, comfortable area for your child to work for their homework, for studying for quizzes, any projects, and iReady. And try to make it as free from distractions as possible. The second point is setting a schedule. So establishing that consistent routine for iReady lessons that will also help your child know, okay, it's time to focus, and now we're going to practice our learning. Monitoring the progress, talked a little bit about this on the slide before. Regular check-ins with your child, celebrating their achievements, and discussing areas that they might need help. And it's okay if they don't do well the first time. It doesn't mean they're not going to do well overall. So they just redo a lesson. They just retake that lesson and then they keep going. So I think that's also important to let your child know at home. Okay, you didn't do well on this one. It's all right. Let's try one tomorrow. And I think that helps with esteem. And I think it helps with really getting excited to come home and participate in the iReady My Path and see what you can do. Engaging in discussions is another important point in order to support your child at home with iReady. So after they complete a lesson, before they close their iPad and say, I'm done, ask them what they learned. It reinforces that you're interested in what they're learning and you're able to tell, did they rush through it? A lot of times, and it's not a lot of students, but there are a handful in grade levels that rush through the diagnostics. And yes, we have the capability of assigning another diagnostic to your child when we see that little red flag that comes up on our end to show that a student rushed. But the issue with that is the My Path is still set on the first diagnostic. So we stress to the students when they're taking the diagnostic and when they're on their My Path at school and when they're home. Don't rush. It's not a competition. It's not timed. You can take 20 minutes, you can take 40. It's up to how your child is comfortable, how he or she is feeling with their readiness skills for whatever skill and domain that they're working on. Encourage perseverance. This is also very important in my professional and personal opinion. Just reminding them it's okay to struggle. You may not have learned this yet, or you may have only learned it once, or it may just be a review. Encourage them to keep trying. And I use that bike analogy at home. You practice riding a bike, you're going to become a pro at it. It's the same thing here. You're going to practice those skills of the reading and the math, and you're going to become a pro at it. And everything that you do, every little bit will help them improve their skills. The additional resources, there are so many additional resources on the Family Central page for iReady. So if your child is struggling with the topic, or if your child really likes the topic and just wants more, but he or she has already moved on, you can pull supplemental materials or activities that can reinforce their learning. So again, a wonderful resource for families. Now, limiting screen time. You don't want them to only look at iReady at home for reading. So that might be a day where you have your child do a quick lesson, and then let's say it was a 10-minute lesson because they did a great job. You don't have to keep them on and have them do another lesson so that you have to spend more time on iReady. Put a book in their hand, put a magazine, have them play an educational game, a board game, or hands-on experiences. There has to be a nice balance. Especially, years ago, coming out of the pandemic, we don't want them staring at the screens all the time. So we do want that balance that we provide in our classrooms, also provided at home. Again, communicating with the teachers is very important, staying in touch with your child's teacher to understand the progress and any areas that need improvement. Being patient and supportive, showing patience and providing encouragement. Sometimes that's a lot, and it goes a long way with your child. It goes a long way in school. A positive attitude definitely motivates kids in school and out of school, on the field, in an art class, everywhere. There's kids really do well when they are spoken to with kindness and they're motivated. And celebrate their successes. So recognize and celebrate their milestones and improvements, no matter how big or how small. And I truly feel that actively engaging with your child through the iReady experience, you can help foster that positive learning environment at home, like we are fostering it in our classrooms on a daily basis. Okay, I'm going to go into the chat now and answer some questions. But again, if anybody has any questions about their child's in particular scores, you can definitely reach out to me. I can via email or phone calls. I'm at Gillette School, and we can walk through the diagnostic. We can walk through the My Path, and now I feel like I know iReady like the back of my hand. So I can answer questions, and I can provide assistance to you as well. Okay, so in the chat, Trumbull Johnny and cover why the district is using this. Is it being heavily pushed this year, even for kindergartners? I'm not clear. Okay, so the district is using this for a few reasons. The first reason is we are utilizing iReady as a universal screener, which is a requirement of the state, to replace Linkit that we did have, because this is a much more comprehensive program with a lot of information that we can receive for the students. We have a district goal this year, a continuation of a district goal, really honing in on small group instruction. And iReady fits perfectly with small group instruction, providing resources to teachers based on the exact strategy and the exact skill that a teacher can sit with a small group, regardless of the age, even up to eighth graders, and work on the skills and work on the strategies that the students need to work on. So kindergarten, yes, we are also using it for kindergarten. The benefit in general for kindergarten all the way up to eighth grade is what I feel is the way that we are able to teach after receiving this information. So it's very individualized for the students. It provides the teachers and the parents and students the areas they perform very well and the areas that they need assistance with. And then based on that, our instruction is modified. It's differentiated, it's modified, and then we can follow it and monitor it. So on a weekly basis, we're looking at data sheets, we're looking at strategy groups, skill groups, usage reports. There's a lot of information that comes with the program, and it's really benefiting what we're able to provide to our students in the classrooms. Now, kindergarten, we have a shared schedule with our iPads. So we rotate with the teachers so that there is opportunity every week in order for the students to go onto iReady during center time, during guided reading time, small shared group instruction time. So yes, even our youngest ones. And I was actually in every iReady diagnostic session with Gillette, just for their ages, showing them how to log in. And after a few times for the reading one and the math one, Dr. Jones, I know how to do this. You don't have to help me. I'm like, okay. So it's also teaching them computer skills, which is part of the curriculum, and really having an ownness of their own work and how they're performing. I hope that answers your question. Okay. Are there instructions on how to access the scores? I've been on the portal and there's nothing related. Yes, so I can resend whoever that parent is, if you want to email me directly, and I can resend you the instruction sheet. I do think it is on the website, but I will check. And if it's not, I will send it out again. So when you go into the parent portal, if you click on your child, if you go to the Documents tab, it's right underneath there. You'll see it. It's in red, underlined. It says iReady Reading and then iReady Math. And you can click on it and it takes you to a PDF of how your child scored. And it's a minimum of 2 pages. And it gives you everything that you need. Okay, how much time do you recommend each student to spend at home? I recommend 1 lesson for reading and 1 lesson for math per night. That's what I would say. Okay, and that's regardless of their grade level, because the how your child is performing is based on what they're ready for. So if it's 10 minutes and you think it's too quick, it's not. It's what the child needed to do that night. But what I would do, especially in the beginning, is be in the same vicinity as your child. Make sure he or she isn't rushing or they're not distracted with something else and just clicking, because you want it to be meaningful. Otherwise, otherwise there's not a point to doing it. So we want everything that we're doing to have meaning for the students and to help them improve. So that's my recommendation. 1 reading lesson and 1 math lesson per night. Okay, what direct instruction is being replaced by iReady during the school day? Nothing is being replaced. We added time to their math blocks. So we're not replacing anything. We just added time to the teacher's math block. And for Gillette students, it's part of the math center time. For the older grade levels, it's just part of their block of time, and then the periods up at Central. So it was just added to, we didn't extend the periods, that's not what I'm saying, but when we sat with the teachers and went over the lesson planning, and we had an iReady coach come in for training, we sat with schedules and we worked on how to embed it into our existing programs so that we're not taking away from anything else. Okay. More of a comment than a question. Not a fan of this for young kids. I want my child taught by an educated professional, not a computer app. I think it could be great for snow days, sick days, concern with the excessive replacement. Okay. Understand your concern. As I said before, we're not just putting a computer in front of the children. There is a good balance, but I do understand your point here. Okay, what if the My Path for your child doesn't sync in with what they're learning in the classroom? I've seen this with my first grader. The already learning path in math is very different. Okay, 6 lessons so far. Difference in the chain. University Valley. Okay, so it probably will not sink in what they're learning in the classroom. So iReady is designed to meet the standards, the math New Jersey student learning standards. It doesn't necessarily meet our Big Ideas math program, and that's okay, because by the time the students go through the standards, we are going to teach this in the format and how our curricular programs are laid out. We did some curriculum work over the summer. There's always, the curriculum documents there are resources, okay? That's not our end all of what we're teaching our children with. We're following the standards, and our programs are just the resources that we use. So we have to revise and remap our curriculum all the time based on what we're teaching the students, what the standards look like, and how our programs are aligned. So for instance, a few years ago, we had to edit our entire ELA program because foundations at the K-3 level was not matching up with what we were teaching as far as the letter order. So this is nothing different than what we've already been doing with our curricular programs and some of our district benchmark assessments. And you might see that the My Path is easy as the comment here, very basic. Classroom learning is more advanced. And that's just based off of how your child performed on the diagnostic. So it might seem like your child already knows this concept, but they're receiving extra work through the My Path to get better on this subject. So it really follows how your child did. And that's why it's very individualized. I hope that answers. And 6 lessons so far. And so, okay, so this comment is you've seen your child complete 6 lessons so far this year, but it doesn't seem like the My Path has changed or gotten harder. It probably has, but it may just not be noticeable for you or maybe for your child, but it does change as the students progress. I don't really know how you can tell if it changed or not, but it's automated in the system, so it will progress as your child progresses. Okay, is the district expecting younger students to do iReady at home? Will they be providing technology to do this? We are asking for the younger students to do this at home, and because it is a web-based program, you don't need an app. You don't need, if you have a device at home, you can even do it on a cell phone. I'm not telling you to buy your young children cell phones, but I'm saying it's very accessible. You can get this program through the library computers. So if there is a family, though, that is having difficulty, you can please reach out to me separately, and I can see if there is something that can be done. But it's accessible with any device. So it doesn't have to be a school issued Chromebook or an iPad. It can be anything you have at home, a desktop, a cell phone, or as I said, it could be it can be available in the library as well, any type of technology device, because it is web-based. Okay, okay. Daughter's in second grade, took the first diagnostic. I asked her how it went. She said in the math section, they have multiplication and it hasn't been taught, so she had to guess. Yes, that's the dynamic of the first diagnostic. So when I went to a training on it, they said that the students, at least 50% of the questions asked, the students will most likely not know the answers to. And this is how it's designed to create that path for them for what they will be learning. This is how Linkit was set up for us also, where you're tested on that year's standards and have not been taught yet, which sounds a little silly, but it's extremely common for a lot of the assessments that are used in many districts in New Jersey. So yes, guessing on the answers is very common. Okay, have they looked into addressing why parental controls need to be shut off on an iPad to do iReady? I don't know the answer to that, but I can try to find that out. Parental controls need to be shut off. I'm not sure. I don't want to guess and say the wrong thing. Let me just write that down so that I can. Let me just write that down, and I will find a way to parental controls.
Laura, do you want me to chime in on that, actually?
Oh, perfect. Yes.
Yeah, iReady is a platform that has that various applications have URLs that need to be accessible on a specific device for a user to access that platform. So there are certain URLs that might be blocked by your parental controls. I think that is the reason. It's not a parental control specific reason. It's just a access to specific websites on the internet. So if there are looser settings you can set on the parental controls, you can try trimming them down instead of disabling them entirely. But that is the reason that it's inaccessible sometimes.
Okay, thank you. That was on Mr. Hartnett. He is our Director of Technology.
Thanks.
Okay, what other formative assessments are being used to drive small group instruction? Outside of iReady, we have our DIBELS assessments at K3. We have our Fontes and Pinnell assessments at the K6 level. We have our iReady. We have Hegarty Phonics at the K1 level, and we have writing prompts that we're using across the district. And we also have mini assessments that take place with our Readers Writers Workshop program that could be informal or formal that are used throughout the year. Okay, so it's really a combination. Okay, where is all this info posted? I've got no communication on this. My child has missed weeks of doing this at home. All of this is sent out by the schools. It has been sent out by the schools on the weekly e-blasts. It's been in parent communication memos from myself, from the district communication that goes out on the Friday flyer. It's okay if your child has missed weeks because, you know, it's not a rush and he or she can start, you know, tomorrow or start tonight if it's not too late, depending on the age of your child. So it's okay. And even if you haven't done it at home, we've been doing it in the classrooms. So it's never too late to start and you can start. And if you're a Gillette parent, I'm sending out a memo tomorrow on how you can access it, what it means. It'll be a little similar to this demonstration, but a little bit more detailed when you pull up your child's report. Kindergarten, yes. So my September, I think 29th e-blast that went out was saying that the next 2 weeks, kindergarten and students will be taking this. So they just finished last week. It takes a few days to upload into the system, which is why we're going to have everything ready for tomorrow. Okay. The app doesn't work if parental controls are set to 12 and up. Okay. So maybe It's not the website. Okay. So hopefully that helps answer some questions. Math formative assessments, we have our benchmark assessments through our Big Ideas program. We have our iReady assessments. And then based on the chapters in each of the Big Ideas of the programs to the grade level, there are chapter tests and reviews that we use as well for math. Okay, I think that is everything in the chat. I
Dr.
think the
Jones,
only
in listening to
thing-
some of these questions, maybe it would probably be great if we could create almost like a Q&A page on on our new website, and perhaps add some resources from iReady with like the sample reports and what they look like, and just give everyone
Sure.
a better sense of how all this works. As Dr. Jones mentioned, this is a tool to help us, one, provide more data on how our students are progressing towards the standards, but it's also a tool for us to make sure we're meeting the kids where they are. We look at this as a really good aid in personalizing instruction. We don't want to replace, the in-person instruction at all. That's not the goal. But we have recommendations from iReady based on research they've done over the years, and they say that 45 minutes of practice per week in each subject is really the sweet spot in terms of helping kids advance and helping them learn and grow. So we're using it for those larger purposes. And the last year we initiated this, but we weren't able to provide that kind of practice time or the kind of sustained, consistent, district-wide commitment to it. But this year we're on that track, and we look forward to having the support at home, because we're confident this is going to help our kids learn and grow, become better readers and stronger problem solvers over time. And we recommend that the children practice at home, even the younger kids. It's not necessarily required. At the middle school level, you're going to hear more probably directly from the teachers that that the kids need to complete this work, whether it's during guide or other opportunities during the day, but if not, at home. So you'll probably see more of that at home. So that's where we're going with this this year, and I'll turn it back to Dr. Jones.
Okay. How long does a typical lesson take each night at home with reading and math lessons? So that really depends on the grade level. It's a shorter amount of time as the students are younger. So I would say the younger grades, maybe 10, 15 minutes, and the older grades, maybe 20, 25 minutes. So that's what, but it really depends on your child. Another one, isn't iReady MyPath purely an assessment, not instructional? So if they're doing poorly, so no. So the assessment is the diagnostic, and the MyPath is instructional. So the MyPath, and it's really designed as literally the path to the instructional activities that your child needs based on how he or she scored on the diagnostic. So it's a little bit different than the diagnostics. It's actually trying to think of an example. So let's say your child is taking a spelling test, and he gets 10 out of 20 words incorrect. So then the teacher will reteach those 10 words, right? This is similar to a diagnostic. So your child takes the diagnostic, depending on how many he or she scores correct and incorrect, then the MyPath level of instruction is assigned to them. I don't know if that helps a little, but so that, and the teachers do see the answers in addition to the scores as a class, not individual. Okay. I don't see a MyPath app. Okay, so you're not going to see a MyPath app When you log into Clever and when you go to iReady, it won't say My Path. It will say teacher assigned lessons, and then it will say lessons for your child right in the middle of the screen. That is the My Path. Okay, but it's just lessons that are in the middle of the screen. Your child clicks it, and then it takes he or she to that instructional piece.
And I believe, Dr. Jones, the iReady scores, the first diagnostic scores will be shared at the parent-teacher conferences, right? They'll be reviewed with the
Yes,
K5, K4 students at
yes.
the least, yeah. Okay,
Okay, well, thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Alexis. Oh, thank you for saying it was informative. Good. Like I said, I know iReady now like the back of my hand. So anybody who wants to reach out for individual questions, I am calling one parent tomorrow as we private chatted. Just please reach out to me.
thank you all for your time this evening.
Okay, thank you.
Good night.
Good night.